Welcome to Coffee Break, a podcast of Riverside County Child Support Services. My name is Nathan Hartel. I'm your host. It's my pleasure to welcome our listeners back to another episode of our award-winning podcast, and it is my pleasure today to have a very special guest, two guests, in fact, and our focus today is going to be on veterans services. And so today we are going to introduce to you and interview Grant Gouche, the Director of County of Riverside Veteran Services, also a retired member of the U.S. Navy. So, Grant, welcome to our podcast. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, Nathan. Pleasure to be here.
Excellent. So glad to have you with us. We're going to be talking to you in a minute to get to know all about you, your passion for veterans, and what you guys do at Veteran Services. And also joining us today is one of our very own Riverside County Child Support Services employees, Catherine Garcia. I want to welcome you. She's going to kind of round out our conversation and help us connect the dots with Veteran Services and our customers who may also be veterans at Child Support Services. So, Kat, thank you for joining us as well.
Thank you, Nathan. Good morning, everyone.
So one of the greatest things about this episode for me is, we have Veterans Day coming up in November. By the time this airs, we'll be somewhere around there. And this is a really great opportunity for our podcast to be able to showcase and say thank you to our veterans, and for Grant and Kat, that includes both of you. So let me just start that way by saying I appreciate both of you. I appreciate your service to our country, and just want to again express my thanks and appreciation for both of you being here. Grant, I know that I had mentioned you are a member of the U.S. Navy, and Kat, can you tell our audience what branch of the military you served in?
Yes, of course. So actually, I am currently an U.S. Army reservist.
Oh, great.
So I'm in the reserves right now, and I've been in for a little over 7 years. Currently enlisted as an E6 staff sergeant in the Army Reserves. My MOS is 27 Delta, so I'm a paralegal specialist.
All right, that's great. That's exciting. And Grant, can you
Yes.
tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and your service to our country in the military?
Sure. Yeah, I was a Navy submarine sailor. I was a sonar technician on fast attack submarines. I was medically retired shortly into my second enlistment due to a service-connected disability, so that cut my career short. But it was an honor to serve, and it was a great experience to serve our country. Then after I got out of the service, I went on to college, and then while I was in college, I worked as a PA work-study student, and at the Department of Veteran Services here in Riverside County. And that's how I first learned of this department. And I've been working for the department after I graduated. Now it's been for 24 years.
Wow,
So it's
that's
an honor
great.
to serve our brother and sister veterans. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for that. And I'm always impressed anytime, and this goes for both of you. Anytime I hear anybody explain, their service in the military and what they did, it is impressive, and it's always exciting to hear about the work that you both have done and are continuing to do. Kat, can you tell our audience a little bit too, just about your role here at Child Support Services? You are both public servants. Grant just gave a little bit of a snippet about how he came to work in the county. But Kat, what is your role with Child Support Services, and how long have you been working for the county?
Oh, yes, of course. So I came over from San Diego County. I live in Temecula, so it's right on the border between San Diego
Yeah.
County and Riverside County. So I wanted to know more about the county in which I reside. So I happily came over to Riverside County, had the opening for the child support specialist. And so I got hired on in August of 2017 and been working as a child support specialist in enforcement, where for the last 3 years I've been working in what's called SET, the Special Enforcement Team. So our team handles some of the specialized enforcement actions against parents that are ordered to pay the support. So things of, credit reporting disputes, escrow demands, transfers from one county to another county, um, and just a whole other flurry of some actions that require, some investigative mindsets for our team. But I
Sure.
have been doing a lot of enforcement work. And so, as a child support specialist, there's just so many people that you meet. I'm always happy to work with the parents, whether it's the one that receives the support or is ordered to pay the support. And you just meet so many good people. And sometimes, everyone has challenging circumstances. So that's where our department steps in to kind of review that and see what we can do to help the parents that are where we step in to help between the parents when we want to make sure that the child support or any support is granted to the children that need it.
That sounds great. Thank you, Kat. I appreciate that. And you did mention challenging circumstances, Grant. I would imagine that veteran services is no different. That the customers who come to your offices for help and assistance can certainly find themselves with some challenging circumstances in their life. I know that both of our agencies are engaging with customers where we're talking to them about things related to their money, related to their family structure, their children. And one of the things I do know about you, Grant, is that, the Veteran Services role and mission in large part is to enhance the quality of life for all veterans in the county and their dependents. And when I hear that, it makes me think about our purpose and our mission here at Child Support, which really does also include striving to help families be self-sufficient. And we do that through providing, child support and medical support. But having said that, Grant, I would love to give you an opportunity here just to share a little bit more with our audience about County of Riverside Veteran Services. What is your agency all about? What is your passion for public service? And what can you tell us about the availability of these services to our listeners?
Okay. Essentially, County Veteran Services, we're here to honor and, like you said, honor our veterans and improve their quality of life. And we do that by helping them to get the benefits they've earned and deserve for their service to our country. Most veterans aren't aware of all the benefits that they're entitled to when they get out. And, they get out of the service, they go on to get jobs, go on, start careers and start a family. And not everyone checks into what services and assistance might be available for them. So we're here to help them when they transition out of the service and they separate. We want to get them to get a solid start, and we like to get them enrolled in VA healthcare, and we assist them with applying for any disabilities or illnesses or injuries that occurred in service. And then we're there for them for their moments that matter in life. Post-military life, we're here to help them with linking them to employment services. If they want to get their education, we help them educate them on their benefits they have for education. Then when it's time for them to get a home, we're there to help them with getting their VA home loan or CalVet home loan. And then later on, in their retirement years and as they age, we're here to help with their health and well-being. There's different benefits for aging veterans for if they need assisted living or caregiver support. There's either caregiver support programs or monetary benefits to help offset the cost of care. And then finally, at the end of their lives, we're there to honor them and help their surviving spouses with planning for burial benefits, making arrangements with the National Cemetery, applying for the life insurance benefits and survivors benefits. So we're here from the time of the discharge till the time they pass on for any of their needs that they may have. And one of the things that most veterans aren't aware of is the education benefits. In California, that if a veteran has a service-connected disability rating of 0% or higher, 0% means it's something that happened in service that's permanent in nature, but is not compensable. But that's enough in the state of California for their dependents to be eligible to go to any community college, Cal State University, or University of California and get their tuition waived. So that's a huge benefit, which helps family members, their dependents, with getting a college education. So we encourage all veterans to stop by our County Veteran Service Office. We're here to serve, and we simplify the bureaucratic process of filing for benefits. It's a complicated process, and our job we have accredited veterans representatives who are all veterans themselves, and so when a veteran comes in to see us, there's a common bond because we're brothers and sisters that served in the military. And they're also trained, accredited experts in helping veterans get their benefits. So we simplify the process, cut through the bureaucratic red tape, and we help prepare, develop, submit, and then case manage the claims until we get a decision. And then after we get a decision, we review it. If there's mistakes, we help appeal it. And so we're basically advocates to help veterans get the maximum benefits they've earned and deserve.
Yeah, that's great to hear, and I really like hearing the part about that like-mindedness, and when a customer comes in, to receive the help of the Veteran Services, that you are viewing yourselves as, brothers and sisters in service to this country. That's something that Child Support Services, sometimes we have to work pretty hard at, is to make sure our customers know, that we do truly, care about them and their role as a parent and their family. And sometimes that's a challenge for us simply because of the history of our department. So to have folks come in, to receive your services and have that kind of instant bond, I would imagine that's very, very, very significant, because you've described a series of benefits that really run potentially decades in the life of your customers, right? I mean, they can go on for quite some time. So developing a true relationship, effective communication between yourself and the customers, I would imagine is absolutely essential. So can you tell me a little bit about, your great staff that you have working for you there at Veteran Services? What makes them unique, significant? I know that you really are passionate also about the work that they do there. And, what can you share a little bit more in detail with our listeners about how they communicate effectively with your customers?
Well, our team is pretty diverse. We've got veterans from the Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force. We don't currently have any Coast Guard veterans with us, and Space Guard I don't think has discharged anyone yet. Our Space Force is new, so
Yeah.
we haven't encountered any Space Force veterans yet. But it's just having diversity, having served. When a veteran comes in, it's sometimes easier to build that rapport, gain their trust, and so they can let their hair down and talk about what happened in their service and what their needs may be. Oftentimes, a veteran that may be experiencing post-traumatic stress, they're usually the last ones to know, because they're just living through what their day-to-day experience is like now. Because when they return back, they're not, things have changed, and they're usually the last ones to recognize it. So we do comprehensive benefits counseling, and we interview them and find out what their experiences are, and then let them know about resources and services to explore if they have post-traumatic stress or not, like the vet centers, or just like the VA healthcare. Then there's OAF, OEF patient advocates, and they help navigate the VA system to get them screened and diagnosed if they have post-traumatic stress. And so having veterans who've served in Iraq and Afghanistan, or who have served in the Navy or Air Force, there's that common thread, and it helps us to identify and relate to our veterans. So I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely it is. You talked about cutting through the bureaucracy and trying to simplify the process for your customers. That's something that we find is important for us as well. The less complicated it is, the more we can help a customer be prepared for what they need to do to engage with us, when opening a case. So similarly, for customers listening who, want to come down and speak with, your staff, what, advice would you give them in terms of, should they simply pick up the phone and just start there? Do they need to kind of gather up a certain set of paperwork that will help them to be a little bit more successful in working with you guys? What is the best advice you could give a listener who is thinking to themselves, I've not reached out to Veteran Services. I think I need to. What's the best first step or two for them to take?
First step is Veteran Services, we can provide services remotely now. With COVID, we've learned that the use of technology, we can actually do interviews over the phone. So we do in-person appointments, but it's by appointment only. So we'd ask that they call in advance and set up an appointment to speak to a veterans representative. And we have a toll-free number that they can call. It's 844-737-8838. If they call that number, no matter where they're at in Riverside County, when they dial that number, it'll ask them for their zip code. They enter in their zip code, then it will transfer them to the nearest office that's closest to them.
Okay.
Or they can call our direct numbers. We have 3 different office locations. I don't know if you wanted me to share those numbers.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about, geographically where you're located. And I think what we can do, we can absolutely list those here. We are going to type up and have included in our podcast notes. And so it'll be written for anybody who is going to any audio platform, to listen to the podcast. They will be able to see your office locations and your phone numbers and all those details.
Okay.
But we can certainly do the phone numbers. But how far reaching are your services within the county? Riverside's a very large county. Are you extending, all the way out to Blythe? Are you mainly more, on the west end of the county? Where are you located?
Well, we have an office in Indio, an office in Hemet, and an office in Riverside.
Okay.
But we do provide services out to Blythe. We have a field office in Blythe that we're going to start picking up again. It had been closed during COVID, but when as things are opening back up, we'll pick up going to Beaumont, Blythe, the Palm Desert VA Clinic, the Murrieta VA Clinic, and out to Menifee. And then eventually we'd like to expand our services back over to the Corona area, to the Corona Vet Center, the Corona VA Clinic. So we provide services throughout the county. But if it's a long distance for them to get to our office, like I said, they can call and we can do an interview over the phone, and they have the ability to actually prepare their claim, and then we give them a code that they go onto an phone app called Finger.Inc. And with that, we give them a number, they enter it in on a keypad, and then they can sign digitally on their phone, and it transfers directly to the application form. Then we can digitally upload the form direct to the VA, what's called the Veterans Benefit Management System, or VBMS, and it gets processed from there. So initially we can do it over the phone, and then they can schedule an appointment to have them either bring in the supporting evidence, or they can mail it to us. So there's different options for how we can provide service.
Okay.
One of the most important things, of course, is we need their DD-214. If they have dependents, we need a copy of their marriage license or birth certificates for their children. And if they have a copy of their service medical records, that's very helpful. If they don't, we can assist in ordering those or getting them.
So it sounds to me like if a customer was thinking to themselves that they don't necessarily have all that paperwork ready to go, I would imagine you want them just to pick up the phone and call, because you're saying you can help them locate some of the paperwork or request copies of it. So those shouldn't be stumbling blocks for anybody to reach out to you initially.
Right. Initially, hopefully they have their discharge papers. If they don't, we can assist them with getting them from the National Personnel Records Center. But the important thing is when they call, we can at least file with the VA an intent to file, and we can have them appoint us as their veteran service organization. That allows us to represent them, and that would initially start the process for a claim. It basically it preserves the effective date. Then they have 1 year from the date of that intent to file to get their fully developed claim submitted. So once we do the intent to file, then we can follow up, request their records, get their medical information and their service military records, and work on developing and submitting a fully developed claim for getting processed at a later date.
Okay, sounds good. And then we've talked a little bit about the breadth of your services geographically in the county. How many customers do you serve, though? I would imagine in a county this size, there's a lot of veterans that you are actively serving, and this probably includes services that are trickling over to their dependents as well. So how many people are you serving in the county?
Well, Riverside County's got the third largest veteran population in the state.
Well,
We have approximately 116 to 120,000 veterans in Riverside County. And if you count their dependents and survivors, there's approximately 300,000 dependents and survivors. So total population served is approximately 420,000 veterans, dependents, and survivors in Riverside County. In a fiscal year 1920, we served almost 24,000 veterans, and we filed about 6,000 claims for benefits, and those 6,000 claims generated $39 million in new benefits for veterans and their dependents in Riverside County.
that's a large group of people that you're serving. So that's great. I want to kind of switch gears here a little bit, Kat, and bring you into the conversation. I know that for child support services, if our audience members are listening and they're a veteran and they have a child support case and they happen to be the parent who is ordered to pay support, sometimes there are questions, that come up about garnishment. As child support customers will know, if you have a court-ordered child support obligation and you are employed, typically what happens is a wage garnishment goes out to your employer, money is taken out of each paycheck and sent in to child support to satisfy your monthly court-ordered support obligation. But for a veteran who is receiving veterans benefits, we typically do not garnish those benefits. So, Kat, I guess just in general, at a high level, the question is, what would you like to communicate to our customers who may have questions about that? They are a veteran, they have an open child support case, and they just kind of need to better understand how to communicate with us at child support about those details. What message would you like to share to them?
Sure thing, Nathan. So I think the most important thing for our office and for us to be able to get in touch with the people that we serve is to be able to really contact us and speak with your case manager, because like you mentioned, a lot of the income with veterans is not really attachable or not really counted. But there is um, income sources out there that may be attachable. And when we look at our veterans and when we look at a lot of the ones that are in our communities, the income, we wanna not count that income against them if we can help it. But if there are, some income sources that we do have a right to, then certainly we'll, research and review that further, and it could be a case-by-case, scenario, given that I know a lot of, veterans like, Mr. Gautsche mentioned that, they do have some hardship circumstances that we need to consider, and we wanna do our best to work with those parents. But ultimately, they have to reach out to us so we can understand what their situation is and see what we can do within our limits to be able to better help them, or at least better provide them with information so they understand, our left and right limits, so to speak.
Sure. Yeah, I would agree. Reaching out is definitely the most important part. And I know that, for child support services, we work pretty hard to try to reach out to the community through a variety of different ways. This podcast is one of them. We really want to get the word out about our services. And, my question to you, Grant, would be, you know, how is Veteran Services getting the word out to the community about the services you provide? Is there anything else you'd like to share about how folks can contact you, or maybe different unique ways that you're working to get the word out about your services?
Well, Nathan, you've been helping us with with this podcast. That's one way to help get the word out. Um, we also have a website, and it's kind of a long website, so the easiest thing to do is just Google Riverside County Department of Veteran Services, and that will pull up our website, our office locations, our hours of operation, the services we provide, and so we use that. Also, we try to use the Facebook platform. We do have a Facebook page, and those are our main forms of. The rest is pretty much word of mouth. I mean, we work closely with the VA and with our state CalVet partners. CalVet has what they call a link, which is a local internetwork agency coordinator who goes out and into the community, and they do TAP classes, which are transition assistance programs at the military bases. And when they do that, they invite us to come out and give a presentation to their men and women as they transition out of the military. And so in partnership with CalVet, that's a good working relationship. Another thing that we do is we do the DMV verification forms. If you want to get the veteran designation on your driver's license, you'd have to come bring your DD-214 to our office, and we complete a DMV Veterans Verification Form, which they would then take to the DMV to get that designation on their driver's license. That's a great partnership, because veterans who may have never thought to check with us on their benefits just want to get the designation on their driver's license. They come in and they speak to one of our representatives. We have an opportunity to interview them, and oftentimes they walk out leaving having applied for several additional benefits they didn't know they were eligible for, like VA healthcare enrollment, possible disability compensation, and other benefits. So that's been a really successful way to reach veterans, is the DMV driver's license veterans verification.
Okay. Now, I've heard you mention a couple times, and forgive me if maybe you've already answered this, but there's a lot of services that you provide, and I'm hearing you say a couple different times that there are services that your customers would be surprised to find out that they either qualify for or didn't even know that they exist. What do you think is the biggest service available to your customers that they are surprised to know is even available to them? Is it the tuition and the education one? Is it something else? What seems to be the biggest pleasant surprise to a customer coming to Riverside County Veteran Services, and they walk out thinking, wow, I had no idea that I could get that kind of help?
The number one disability rating for veterans is hearing loss and tinnitus, which is ringing in the ears. Most military occupations are pretty noisy, working around flight lines, working as an engineer around diesel engines, or being in infantry or artillery. A lot of noisy, a lot of noise exposure in the military. And so sometimes veterans will come in just inquiring about, is there any help available for hearing aids to get my hearing tested? And then we look at their discharge papers, see what their occupation was, and say, well, yeah, you could get rated for service connection for that. And after filing to get them rated, they can get compensation, free hearing aids, free health care. They may be over the income threshold, but if a veteran has tinnitus, that's a 10% rating that qualifies them for free healthcare through the VA with no income thresholds. And so they come in with just a general question about, getting a hearing test or maybe help with hearing aids. They walk out and they're getting compensated, free healthcare, and that's just one example. But oftentimes a person will come in and we just interview them and find out that, oh, you served in Vietnam. Did you know about Agent Orange, or presumptive disabilities are related to exposure to Agent Orange while you're in Vietnam? And so each case is different, but it comes out through the interview that if we can get them rated service connected for something, that opens up the doors for more benefits. If a veteran is rated 50% service connected, for example, he qualifies for reduced fee fishing license or hunting license. Oftentimes you have veterans that are rated up 100% to 100% for service connected disability. And locally there's a property tax exemption for disabled veterans that are 100%. So there's various benefits, and veterans don't know about state veterans homes. If a veteran's elderly, they have independent living, they have assisted living, uh, intermediate skilled nursing, and skilled nursing memory care. There's 8 different veterans homes throughout California. So yeah, there's many benefits, but like I said, if we get a veteran rated for service connected disability, that college fee waiver program is a very, very popular program that's helped a lot of families put their kids through college.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Well, I'm certainly glad that you guys are here to serve the residents and the veterans of Riverside County. Kat, I want to close out our time with you just by kind of returning our conversation and our thoughts to child support customers who are also veterans. If there's maybe a word of encouragement, if there was a message that you would like to give those customers, just based on your experience as a veteran, as an active, reservist right now, and as a child support professional, as a public servant, what would you like to say to our child support customers, just about engaging with us and working with us to help them be reminded of how much we really do want to be of assistance to them?
Oh, sure, of course. Well, I can start off by speaking personally because as a active reservist serving right now, I mean, my department has been wonderfully supportive for my military service. And so, whatever I need to do, whatever missions I go out on. I have a very supportive team of leadership and teammates that help support me going to go do my military duty. So in the same token, you've got, a lot of people out there that are veterans, like Mr. Gautsche mentioned, with the difficult circumstances, and maybe not even knowing about all the resources that are available to them. And so for our customers, I can tell you that I know it's difficult, especially when you're navigating. I speak with, as a reservist, a lot of times I go and serve with active duty component, and we speak with a lot of active duty men and women service members that may be leaving active duty service and uh, not quite being able to navigate coming back into a civilian world. And, maybe they've got a court order where they don't understand, what do I do with this? I'm ordered to pay support. I was deployed, I was on orders as a reservist. There's a lot of things to navigate. But as you mentioned, Nathan, that, just communicating to our office is going to be one step in the right direction. We do understand the service was hard. It's not easy to serve in the military. There's a lot of environmental stressors. There's a lot of, high level missions, high level suspenses that need to be met. So we definitely want to honor those that serve, and we want to be able to help them in the best capacity that we can by speaking to one of our case managers and, seeing what their circumstances are. We definitely want to only only assert against income that we can. That's why we stay on top of our policies and procedures and working with state and federal guidelines just to make sure that each case is taken um, to the level that we need to make sure we are doing the right thing in terms of that family support, in terms of the children's support, and in getting the information to the veteran, whether they're the parent that's ordered to pay support or the parent that receives the support. But our number one goal, of course, is to make sure that the children in these families are supported and getting the parents the information that they need so they understand the decisions that are being made and why.
That's great. Kat, very well said. I appreciate that. It was really a great summary and a great connection. I want to thank you again for your service, and thank you, Kat, for being part of our podcast today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
All right, and Grant, as I look at my coffee cup, I'm getting down to the end of my cup of coffee, which means our time together in this little coffee break is nearing its end. But I want to do the same thing. I want to give you the last word here and just ask you if there's anything else that we maybe have missed or haven't touched on about veteran services, if there's a final word or message that you would like to give our listeners who need your services. I want to just kind of open the door for you to share that now before we close our time.
Okay. Well, first, I'd like to say thank you to Kat for your service to our country. And I hope that if you have any questions, you'll feel free to come reach out to us and we're happy to help.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I guess my message would be, to all our veterans, you've served our country and you've earned the right to benefits. And just ask that you would contact us and let us help you. One, educate you about the various benefits there are. There's local, state, and federal benefits. And also, we're here to help you obtain those benefits. Um, One of the things I didn't mention is we do also help, homeless veterans. There's HUD-VASH vouchers. We help homeless veterans get signed up for health care, linked up with the Housing Authority and the HUD-VASH VA social workers at the VA. And we also work with those criminally involved through the justice system. If they have a veterans court program, and we can assist them as they go through treatment and then get a second chance. So there's a number of things we can do, but we're here to serve those who served and just encourage all veterans and their families to contact us so that we can try to help.
That's great. Well, Grant, thank you very much for joining us today. I truly do appreciate your time. I appreciate your service to our country as well as Kat. Thank you guys both very much. And to our listeners, to our customers here at Child Support, to the customers of County of Riverside Veteran Services for your service to our country, for those that are veterans, we do thank you on behalf of Riverside County Child Support Services. I want to ask our listeners to please remember to subscribe to our podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, virtually any audio platform that you choose and prefer. Please check us out at rivcodcss.com. You'll have all the information about how to reach us and contact us. And I want to remind our listeners also, when we interact with you, whether you're in our office, talking with us virtually or on the phone, we would love to hear your feedback. So please take a moment as you engage with Riverside Child Support Services to fill out a survey. Again, I want to encourage everyone to take a look at our show notes for today's episode. Please, you will find everything in there on how to contact Riverside County Veteran Services locations, phone numbers, websites, everything you need will be there. So from us to you, thank you, and we will talk to you next time.